On March 3, 2026, we experience a total lunar eclipse in Leo in the nakshatra Purva Falguni, where the moon conjoins Ketu. In astrology, an eclipse is a karmic reset point. During a lunar eclipse, the Earth comes between the sun and the moon is shadowed. Astrologically, as moon represent our mind and emotions, this shadow represents emotional obscuration, karmic culmination, and psychological intensity. It's important to highlight that these interpretations are drawn from sidereal or Vedic astrology, which considers a roughly 24-degree variance from the tropical zodiac. This eclipse season occurs on the Leo-Aquarius axis. At the time of the eclipse, the moon is in Leo with Ketu, while the sun is in Aquarius with Rahu, joined by Mercury, retrograde, and Mars. Venus is in its exaltation sign Pisces in conjunction with Saturn, and Jupiter is retrograde in Gemini. The sky itself shows strong karmic concentration, fixed sign intensity, retrograde motion, and nodal activation. When so many planets cluster around the nodes, eclipse energy becomes amplified and collective events tend to feel dramatic, fated, and irreversible. Lunar eclipses always operate more immediately than solar eclipses. Solar eclipses act like omens. Their results unfold gradually. Lunar eclipses reveal, expose, and culminate quickly. Because this is a moon, Ketu conjunction, the emotional tone is inward, detached, and karmically reflective. Moon represents mind, emotions, mother, nourishment, and public mood. Ketu represents detachment, separation, spiritualization, and past life residue. When moon meets Ketu during a total eclipse, it can feel as if emotional clarity is temporarily withdrawn. People may experience isolation, mood fluctuations, nostalgia, or a sense that something meaningful is dissolving. Leo is the sign of identity, authority, leadership, creativity, recognition, and the heart, both literally and symbolically. It represents kings, governments, celebrities, and visible power structures. When an eclipse falls in Leo, themes around leadership and public figures often intensify. Globally, eclipses in Leo have historically coincided with shifts involving heads of state, royal families, celebrity scandals, or dramatic political narratives. Because the sun, the ruler of Leo, is in Aquarius with Rahu and Mars during this eclipse, tensions between authority and rebellion, establishment and disruption, individual ego and collective ideology may become pronounced. Purva Falguni Nakshatra, ruled by Venus, carries themes of pleasure, romance, creativity, luxury, entertainment, agreements, and social contracts. Its symbol, the hammock, reflects relaxation and enjoyment, yet beneath that softness lies a powerful desire for validation and love. An eclipse in Purva Falguni can bring turning points in relationships, creative industries, fashion, entertainment, and matters of personal dignity. There may be revelations around romantic alliances, celebrity relationships, or financial agreements tied to art and media. Jupiter retrograde in Gemini adds another dimension. Retrograde Jupiter internalizes wisdom and re-examines belief systems. With the eclipse activating the Leo-Aquarius axis and Jupiter influencing communication and ideology, collective narratives may shift. Information previously hidden can surface. Public opinion may swing. Media discourse may intensify. Since Mercury is also retrograde during this period, misunderstandings and exaggerated reactions are possible. This is not an ideal time for impulsive public statements or emotionally charged decisions. Eclipse energy is generally felt a week before and a week after, though the broader eclipse season spans roughly a month. Emotional triggers from the past can resurface. Situations that have been building quietly may reach culmination. On an individual level, the key theme of this lunar eclipse is emotional recalibration. Moon, Ketu does not necessarily create external drama. Instead, it withdraws emotional attachment. Something may feel less important than it did before. A craving for solitude or spiritual grounding may arise. Because Leo relates to pride and ego, this eclipse may humble exaggerated self-perceptions. It can dissolve false confidence while revealing authentic strength. Sometimes the heart must empty before it can be refilled with something more genuine. It is traditionally advised to avoid major life decisions on the eclipse day itself, particularly regarding relationships, career declarations, or financial risks. Lunar eclipses amplify emotions. Clarity returns gradually. Spiritual practices, meditation, mantra, prayer, or silent reflection, are especially beneficial during moon, Ketu eclipses. Although eclipse seasons can feel unsettling, their deeper purpose is evolution. The results of this eclipse will unfold over the next 6 months. What feels confusing now may reveal its wisdom later. Lunar eclipses close chapters. They bring emotional endings that create space for a new narrative. The March 3, 2026 total lunar eclipse in Leo is ultimately about the heart, its pride, its wounds, its attachments, and its capacity to love without ego. As the shadow passes and the moon regains its light, so too does clarity return. Eclipse seasons remind us that temporary darkness is part of life. In that darkness, truth quietly reshapes our path. To accurately assess the impact of these events, consider both your ascendant and moon signs. The ascendant sign provides insights into the timing of life events, while the moon sign reveals how you'll emotionally respond to these changes. Also, consider the position of your current Mahadasha Lord in your birth chart, as it can shed light on how these transits will influence the recurring themes of your dasha period. The specific outcomes will depend on your individual dasha and how these events interact with your natal planetary placements. Those under Rahu, Ketu, Sun, or Moon dasha periods can feel the effects of eclipses with the greatest intensity. Remember, the impact of eclipses varies for each person. Eclipse seasons aren't the most auspicious times to begin new projects, navigate complex relationships, make major career moves, or take other significant material decisions. They have historically been viewed as inauspicious events, often associated with negative omens for worldly matters. Instead, eclipse seasons offer an excellent opportunity to retreat, meditate, and delve into your inner world. They provide a unique chance to connect with your spiritual side. Be aware, though, that eclipse seasons can be quite turbulent, particularly in the days between a solar and a lunar eclipse. It's essential to determine whether an eclipse will be visible in your location, as its effects tend to be more pronounced where it can be seen. The true outcomes of these events usually become apparent over the next 6 months. Whether these outcomes prove favorable or unfavorable largely depends on your current dasha. If you face challenges during this eclipse season, remember that events may unfold and become clearer in the months ahead. Now that we have this context, let's dive into the predictions for each zodiac sign for this lunar eclipse. For Aries, the total lunar eclipse takes place in Leo in your 5th house. The 5th house governs creativity, romance, children, education, speculative gains, performance, recognition, leadership expression, and personal intelligence. It is a powerful trinal house connected to merit from past actions and your ability to shine independently. When a lunar eclipse activates this house, it brings emotional culmination and clarity in areas connected to love, creativity, and self-expression. While eclipses can feel intense in the moment, this placement is ultimately constructive for Aries because it refines how you express your fire. This eclipse occurs with Moon conjunct Ketu. Moon represents your emotional mind and instinctive reactions. Ketu represents detachment, karmic release, and completion of patterns. In the 5th house, this combination can create temporary emotional distance in romantic matters or creative pursuits. You may question whether something you are pursuing still excites you. You may feel less interested in drama or attention. This is not loss. It is refinement. It is not advisable to make major romantic or financial decisions during the peak eclipse days because emotional clarity may be temporarily reduced. Allow a few days for perspective to stabilize. As solar eclipse happened in Aquarius, this eclipse also activates Aquarius in your 11th house. The 5th and 11th houses form a powerful axis of creativity and gains. The 5th house represents what you create. The 11th house represents income, audience, networks, and fulfillment of desires. At the time of this eclipse, your ruling planet Mars is in Aquarius in your 11th house, conjunct Rahu, the Sun, and retrograde Mercury. This is a highly dynamic configuration. Mars increases ambition and drive. Rahu amplifies desire for expansion and recognition. The Sun adds visibility and leadership. Retrograde Mercury encourages review of plans and communication strategies. This means that while the eclipse refines your creative heart in the 5th house, your 11th house is pushing for growth and networking opportunities. For Aries, this is a period of recalibrating creative direction. You may realize that certain projects were driven more by the need for validation rather than genuine passion. Moon, Ketu removes emotional attachment to superficial applause. The positive outcome is authenticity. Once you shift toward what truly inspires you, your audience and income potential in the 11th house can increase significantly over the next 6 months. Romantically, the 5th house governs dating and attraction. If you are single, this eclipse may bring clarity about a romantic situation. Either feelings deepen with maturity, or you understand that a connection lacks long-term potential. If you are in a relationship, emotional discussions may arise around attention, expectations, or children. Handle conversations calmly after the eclipse passes. The positive outcome is more balanced and realistic romance. For Aries individuals with children, this eclipse may bring developments in a child's life, such as academic decisions or creative achievements. You may also adjust your parenting style. Instead of pushing performance, you may focus on encouragement and independence. This strengthens long-term bonds. The 5th house also governs speculative investments and risk-taking. Aries energy can sometimes act impulsively. Moon, K2 encourages caution. Review financial strategies rather than starting new high-risk ventures during eclipse week. Insights gained now can help you make smarter investment decisions later in 2026. Purva Falguni Nakshatra strongly influences this eclipse. This nakshatra is associated with creativity, leadership, agreements, and social charm. It carries a Venusian tone of refinement and enjoyment. In the 5th house, it supports artistic expression, performance, and public visibility. The eclipse in this nakshatra suggests that creative pursuits may undergo improvement rather than destruction. You may upgrade skills, refine branding, or adjust how you present yourself publicly. Because Purva Falguni relates to celebration and attraction, recognition may follow once emotional clarity returns. Psychologically, this eclipse reduces ego-driven expression. Leo energy loves attention, and Aries naturally enjoys action and leadership. Moon, K2 in Leo can temporarily reduce the need to prove yourself. This internal shift strengthens confidence because it becomes less dependent on external praise. Leadership becomes calmer and more respected. Education and learning are also 5th house themes. Students may complete important academic phases or rethink study strategies. This is a good time to adjust focus and improve discipline. Health-wise, the 5th house relates to digestion and stress linked to emotional excitement. Emotional fluctuations during eclipse week may temporarily affect appetite or sleep. Maintain steady routines and avoid unnecessary arguments. Because eclipses unfold over 6 months, watch developments between March and September 2026. A creative shift made now can produce visible gains later in the year. Mars and Rahu in your 11th house can bring new associations, especially in technology, group ventures, or international networks. Once Mercury turns direct and emotional clarity returns, strategic planning can bring strong results. It is important to remember that lunar eclipses can feel confusing in the moment. Avoid dramatic declarations in love or finance during the peak days. Observe and reflect. Within weeks, perspective improves. Overall, this lunar eclipse in your 5th house is refining rather than disruptive. It purifies creative expression, strengthens romantic clarity, improves parenting dynamics, and aligns ambition with authentic passion. With Mars energizing your 11th house and Purva Falguni supporting recognition, the long-term outlook is positive. By mid to late 2026, you are likely to see clearer direction, stronger networks, and more meaningful creative success emerging from this eclipse cycle. For Taurus, the total lunar eclipse takes place in Leo in your 4th house. The 4th house represents home, property, land, real estate, vehicles, mother, domestic comfort, emotional security, and your inner psychological foundation. It is the base of your chart, the area that supports everything else. When a lunar eclipse activates this house, it brings emotional awareness and completion in matters connected to family life and stability. While eclipses can feel intense in the moment, this placement ultimately works to strengthen your foundation rather than weaken it. This eclipse occurs with Moon conjunct Ketu. The Moon signifies emotional comfort and mental peace, while Ketu represents detachment, karmic clearing, and release of past patterns. In the 4th house, this combination can create temporary emotional withdrawal regarding family or property matters. You may feel unusually introspective or less reactive in family situations. Some confusion about home-related decisions may arise, and it is wise not to make major property purchases, relocations, or legal commitments during the eclipse window. Emotional clarity may fluctuate briefly. Once the intensity passes, the understanding you gain will help you make more grounded choices. As solar eclipse happened in Aquarius, your 10th house is also involved. The 4th and 10th houses represent home and career, private life and public reputation. This eclipse may highlight the need to rebalance work and domestic priorities. If career pressures have been affecting family harmony, you may now realize adjustments are necessary. A change at home may influence professional decisions. The positive outcome is integration. You become more aware of how your domestic environment impacts your productivity and ambition. Your ruling planet Venus is in Pisces during this eclipse and placed with Saturn in your 11th house. This is a highly supportive factor. Venus is in its exaltation sign enhances emotional intelligence, grace, and aesthetic sensitivity. Saturn adds discipline, patience, and long-term planning. The 11th house governs gains, networks, and long-term ambitions. This combination suggests that even if the eclipse brings temporary emotional heaviness at home, your broader goals remain supported. In fact, strengthening your domestic base can directly increase professional success and income over the next 6 months. Purva Falguni Nakshatra influences this eclipse strongly. This nakshatra is associated with comfort, refinement, agreements, creativity, and social grace. In the 4th house, it emphasizes improving quality of life. You may feel motivated to renovate, redecorate, reorganize, or beautify your living space. Even small changes in furniture, color schemes, or layout can significantly improve emotional comfort. Because Purva Falguni is ruled by Venus and Venus is in its exaltation sign at this time, these improvements tend to bring lasting satisfaction. For some Taurus individuals, this eclipse may coincide with property-related developments. A long-pending matter regarding land, inheritance, or lease agreements may move toward resolution. You may complete paperwork or make decisions that have been delayed. While it is important to avoid impulsive commitments during eclipse week, decisions made after clarity returns can bring long-term stability. Family relationships are central during this period. The 4th house governs your bond with mother and close relatives. Moon, Ketu may initially create emotional distance or a sense of isolation. You may reflect deeply on childhood patterns or past experiences. This is an opportunity for emotional healing. Instead of reacting to old triggers, you may approach conversations with maturity and calm. Over the next 6 months, communication within the family can improve significantly. Emotionally, Taurus values predictability and security. An eclipse in the 4th house may briefly challenge your sense of control. It does not remove stability without purpose. It reveals where upgrades are needed. You may recognize that certain emotional attachments or routines are outdated. Letting go of them creates space for stronger foundations. The 4th house also governs vehicles and material comforts. Some Taurus individuals may upgrade a vehicle or invest in practical home improvements. Purva Falguni supports tasteful and beneficial investments that enhance comfort rather than extravagance. Because Venus is in its exaltation sign, aesthetic decisions made thoughtfully during this period are likely to be rewarding. Professionally, since the 10th house is activated simultaneously, career opportunities may arise that require adjustments at home. You may consider remote work options, relocation, or schedule changes. Saturn in your 11th house supports long-term gains through disciplined networking. Community connections or professional groups may play a key role in improving both career and domestic stability. Psychologically, Moon, Ketu in the 4th house promotes emotional independence. You may realize that inner peace cannot depend entirely on external conditions. This understanding strengthens resilience. Once emotional clarity returns, you feel more grounded and self-reliant. Health-wise, the 4th house relates to chest and emotional well-being. Stress around family matters may briefly affect sleep patterns. Maintaining routine, balanced meals, and calm communication will help stabilize energy. Because lunar eclipses unfold over 6 months, watch how home and career themes evolve through mid to late 2026. Improvements initiated now may show visible results by the next eclipse season. If this period feels emotionally heavy, remember that clarity and resolution often follow quickly. Overall, this lunar eclipse in your 4th house is constructive for Taurus individuals. It refines domestic foundations, strengthens emotional maturity, improves property-related decisions, and aligns home life with long-term ambitions. With Venus providing harmony and Saturn ensuring discipline, adjustments made now can create lasting comfort and stability. By mid to late 2026, you are likely to recognize this eclipse as a turning point that strengthens both your inner peace and your outer success. For Gemini, the total lunar eclipse takes place in Leo in your third house. The third house governs communication, courage, skills, marketing, writing, media, siblings, short-distance travel, business initiatives, and self-effort. It is the house of initiative and personal action. When a lunar eclipse activates this area, it brings awareness and culmination in how you express yourself, how you communicate, and how confidently you pursue your goals. The eclipse occurs with Moon conjunct Ketu in Leo. The Moon represents the mind, emotional reactions, and instinctive responses. Ketu represents detachment, release, and karmic clearing. In the third house, Moon, Ketu may temporarily create mental restlessness or emotional isolation. You may feel misunderstood or less inclined to speak impulsively. Communication may feel slightly unclear around the eclipse period. It is important not to make major decisions or sign important agreements during the peak eclipse days because mental clarity may fluctuate. This temporary pause allows you to rethink how you communicate and what truly needs to be expressed. Solar eclipse happened in Aquarius. While the Moon and Ketu are in Leo in your third house, Aquarius in your ninth house is equally triggered. The third and ninth houses represent effort and higher vision, practical skills, and long-term philosophy. During this eclipse, your immediate communication style and your long-term beliefs are being aligned. Gemini Lord Mercury is retrograde in Aquarius in your ninth house, conjunct Rahu, Sun, and Mars. This is a powerful intellectual configuration. Mercury retrograde encourages review and correction. Rahu amplifies ambition and desire for global reach. The Sun increases visibility. Mars adds drive and assertiveness. Together, these planets suggest that you are rethinking your larger goals, educational direction, publishing plans, or international connections. Because Mercury is retrograde, communication delays or revisions are possible. This is beneficial in the long run. You are refining your message before delivering it to a wider audience. The eclipse in the third house supports this process by encouraging strategic silence where necessary and stronger clarity afterward. For Gemini individuals involved in writing, teaching, media, marketing, or digital work, this period may lead to restructuring of content, rebranding, or improvement of messaging. Over the next 6 months, these refinements can increase reach and impact. Jupiter is retrograding in Gemini in your first house and will turn direct on March 11th, just days after the eclipse. Jupiter retrograde in the first house encourages introspection about identity and personal direction. As Jupiter turns direct, confidence and clarity increase. This timing is important. Emotional confusion during the eclipse clears quickly as Jupiter moves forward. You may feel renewed optimism about personal growth and visibility. The third house also governs siblings and close relatives. Emotional distance may temporarily appear in these relationships. This phase often leads to maturity. Instead of reacting quickly, you may choose to step back and reflect. Over the next 6 months, communication with siblings can improve significantly because you will express yourself with more awareness. Professionally, the third house governs marketing, presentations, writing, sales, and networking. If you are involved in media, teaching, advertising, or communication-based careers, this eclipse marks a turning point. You may revise strategies, update branding, or improve skill sets. Because Mercury is retrograde in the ninth house, reviewing educational plans, publishing projects, or international collaborations is advisable. Once Mercury turns direct and emotional clarity returns, implementation becomes stronger. Purva Falguni Nakshatra influences this eclipse. This nakshatra is associated with creativity, refinement, agreements, and charm. In the third house, it enhances artistic communication, storytelling, and presentation skills. You may discover a new creative way to express yourself. Writers, content creators, and public speakers can benefit from revising style and tone. Purva Falguni supports visibility and audience engagement once adjustments are made. Short travels may be affected around eclipse week. Delays or changes in travel plans are possible. Avoid unnecessary trips during peak days. Travel undertaken after clarity returns may bring valuable networking opportunities. Financially, the third house connects to self-made income through effort. You may reconsider freelance work, commissions, or side projects. Moon, Ketu may temporarily reduce enthusiasm, but once insight arrives, you can channel energy more efficiently. Mars in your ninth house supports bold expansion into new markets or knowledge areas. Psychologically, this eclipse encourages courage. The third house is the house of initiative. Moon, K2 removes emotional fear patterns. You may detach from insecurities that once limited you. This creates stronger self-confidence over time. Health-wise, the third house relates to shoulders, arms, and nervous energy. Stress from overthinking may temporarily increase. Maintaining calm breathing practices and structured schedules will help stabilize your mind. Because eclipse effects unfold over 6 months, observe how communication and educational themes evolve through mid to late 2026. A strategic shift in how you present yourself can bring noticeable gains. Rahu, Mars, and the Sun in your 9th house indicate potential recognition through higher learning, publishing, or international connections once Mercury moves forward. It is important to avoid impulsive arguments or online disputes during eclipse week. Silence and observation are more powerful than reaction. After emotional balance returns, conversations become clearer and more productive. Overall, this lunar eclipse in your 3rd house is constructive for Gemini individuals. It sharpens communication, improves focus, strengthens strategic thinking, and aligns effort with higher vision. With Mercury reviewing plans, Jupiter soon turning direct, and strong planetary energy in your 9th house, long-term growth is supported. By the next eclipse season, you are likely to see clearer direction, improved messaging, and stronger confidence emerging from this period of refinement. For Cancer, the total lunar eclipse falls in Leo in your 2nd house. The 2nd house governs finances, savings, speech, family values, food habits, accumulated wealth, and self-worth. It represents what sustains you materially and emotionally. When a lunar eclipse occurs here, it brings culmination and emotional awareness in matters related to money, family responsibilities, and personal security. This eclipse takes place with Moon conjunct Ketu in Leo. Since Moon is your ruling planet, eclipses naturally affect you more deeply than other individuals. A Moon, Ketu eclipse can temporarily create emotional detachment or confusion. You may feel more sensitive about financial or family matters during the days around the eclipse. It is important not to make major financial decisions in that immediate window because emotions may influence judgment. Once the emotional intensity settles, the clarity you gain can lead to strong long-term improvements. The 2nd house for Cancer is ruled by the Sun, and the eclipse occurs in Leo, the Sun's sign. This gives the eclipse strength and visibility. Financial themes are highlighted clearly. You may complete a financial cycle, close a source of income, restructure savings, or change the way you manage money. If you have been depending on one stream of income, you may now see the need to diversify. The eclipse does not remove stability without reason. It encourages smarter resource management. At the same time, Aquarius in your 8th house is activated because of the eclipses. The 2nd and 8th houses together govern personal income and shared resources. This means joint finances, loans, taxes, insurance, or family inheritance matters may also come into focus. You may finalize paperwork or clarify agreements that have been pending. The positive aspect is resolution. Instead of uncertainty around shared finances, you gain structure and understanding. Purva Phalguni Nakshatra adds an important influence. This nakshatra is associated with comfort, agreements, social grace, luxury, and creative expression. It is ruled by Venus, which aligns well with your desire for comfort and beauty. When the eclipse falls in this nakshatra in your 2nd house, it suggests refinement of lifestyle. You may reassess spending habits, not out of fear but out of desire to improve quality. You might invest in something meaningful for your home or family rather than unnecessary expenses. The shift is toward value-based spending. Speech is another key theme. The 2nd house governs how you communicate in close family settings and in professional discussions about money. Moon, Ketu can make you quieter temporarily. You may withdraw from unnecessary conversations or feel less inclined to explain yourself repeatedly. This silence is constructive. It allows you to observe before speaking. Once the eclipse energy stabilizes, your words carry more weight. You may choose to communicate more carefully and more strategically. Family matters may reach a turning point. There could be discussions around shared responsibilities, financial planning, or property division. If there has been tension within the family related to money or values, this eclipse can bring clarity. It may not resolve everything instantly, but it opens the door for honest dialogue. The positive outcome is stronger financial boundaries and clearer expectations. The 2nd house also relates to food habits and physical nourishment. Emotional stress during the eclipse period may influence appetite or dietary patterns. This is a good time to adopt healthier eating routines. You may become more conscious about what you consume, both physically and emotionally. Health improvements started now can show benefits over the next 6 months. For professionals, this eclipse may bring clarity about salary, compensation, or financial growth. You may negotiate better terms after the eclipse period. If you are self-employed, you may adjust pricing or refine services. The eclipse encourages sustainable growth rather than quick gains. Financial restructuring done during this period can stabilize income later in the year. Because Moon is your sign lord, your emotional state is directly linked to material security. This eclipse teaches you that self-worth is not defined solely by income or possessions. There may be a brief period where you question your financial standing. That questioning leads to improvement. You become more disciplined and realistic. By mid-2026, you are likely to see stronger savings patterns and improved confidence. On a deeper level, the second house represents values passed down from family. The eclipse may prompt you to reassess which values still serve you and which do not. You may choose to create your own approach to money and security instead of following inherited patterns. This shift strengthens independence. Since lunar eclipses show results over the next 6 months, watch how financial or family themes evolve through mid to late 2026. An adjustment made in March can lead to financial stability by the next eclipse season. A conversation initiated now can build stronger family trust. It is important to remember that Moon, Ketu eclipses can create emotional isolation for a few days. You may feel misunderstood or detached. Avoid major commitments during that short window. Once clarity returns, you will make wiser decisions. The temporary confusion serves a purpose. It slows you down so you can think clearly. Overall, this eclipse is constructive for Cancer individuals. It strengthens financial awareness, refines spending habits, improves communication around money, and clarifies family responsibilities. It may feel intense at first because it directly involves your ruling planet, but the long-term outcome is security and maturity. By the end of this eclipse cycle, you are likely to feel more stable, more financially organized, and more confident in your ability to provide for yourself and your loved ones. For Leo, the total lunar eclipse takes place in your first house in Leo. The first house represents identity, personality, physical vitality, confidence, public image, and the direction of your life. When a lunar eclipse happens in the first house, it becomes deeply personal. You feel it more directly than most signs because it touches your body, your mindset, and your sense of self. While eclipses can feel intense, this one is not here to weaken you. It is here to refine you, to reset your emotional patterns, and to align your identity with where you are truly meant to go next. This eclipse occurs with Moon conjunct Ketu in your first house. The Moon represents your emotional state and instinctive reactions. Ketu represents detachment, karmic release, and internal clearing. In the first house, Moon, Ketu can temporarily create emotional isolation or confusion about your personal direction. You may feel more withdrawn than usual. Your confidence may fluctuate briefly. It is important not to make major life decisions during eclipse period because your emotional clarity may not be stable. Give yourself time to observe rather than react. Within days or weeks, insight becomes much sharper. Solar eclipse happened in your 7th house Aquarius. While the Moon and Ketu are in your 1st house, Aquarius in your 7th house is equally triggered. The 1st and 7th houses represent self and partnerships. At this time, your ruling planet, the Sun, is in Aquarius in the 7th house along with Rahu and retrograde Mercury. This creates a powerful dynamic between identity and relationships. The Sun in the 7th house shifts focus toward partnerships, public dealings, and collaboration. Rahu amplifies desires and intensifies relationship themes. Retrograde Mercury encourages review and reevaluation of agreements and communication. Because your 1st house is directly eclipsed, you are undergoing a personal reset. You may question how you present yourself to the world. You may reflect on whether your relationships truly support your growth. The positive outcome is self-awareness. Instead of acting from ego or impulse, you begin acting from clarity. This can significantly strengthen both personal and professional partnerships over the next 6 months. Purva Falguni Nakshatra influences this eclipse. This nakshatra is associated with charisma, creativity, leadership, refinement, and social presence. Leo energy naturally carries leadership qualities, and Purva Falguni enhances grace and charm. The eclipse in this nakshatra suggests that your personal image and creative expression are being upgraded. You may refine your appearance, rebrand yourself professionally, or shift how you express authority. Because Purva Falguni is ruled by Venus, it supports balance and diplomacy. Even if you feel emotionally sensitive during eclipse week, the long-term outcome enhances your magnetism and public appeal. Health and vitality are important themes. The first house governs physical energy. You may feel slightly drained or more introspective around the eclipse. Listen to your body. Avoid overexertion and allow time for rest. Once the eclipse energy settles, you may feel renewed motivation to improve fitness, posture, or overall well-being. Small health adjustments made now can show visible improvement by mid-2026. Psychologically, Moon, Ketu in the first house reduces emotional dependency on validation. Leo naturally enjoys recognition, but this eclipse encourages internal confidence rather than external applause. You may become less reactive to criticism and less driven by the need to prove yourself. This strengthens true authority. Relationships will play a central role. Since your Sun is in the 7th house with Rahu and retrograde Mercury, partnership dynamics may feel intense. Miscommunications or misunderstandings can arise if conversations are rushed. Avoid confrontations during eclipse week. Instead, revisit agreements calmly once Mercury regains clarity. Over time, relationships can become more balanced and mature. Professionally, the 7th house governs business, partnerships, and contracts. Some Leo individuals may review professional collaborations or renegotiate terms. This is not necessarily about ending alliances. It is about ensuring fairness and clarity. Once the eclipse passes and Mercury stabilizes, agreements made can be stronger and more beneficial. Because eclipses unfold over 6 months, watch how personal identity and relationship themes develop through mid to late 2026. You may notice a gradual strengthening of self-confidence and clearer direction. The emotional intensity of early March will transform into strategic growth. Financially, partnerships may influence income. If you run a business, client relationships may require careful communication. With Rahu present, opportunities for expansion can arise, especially through public visibility or digital platforms. Just ensure that decisions are not made impulsively during eclipse week. Spiritually, a first house eclipse often marks the end of an old identity cycle. You may release outdated self-images and step into a more authentic version of yourself. This is not a dramatic collapse but a subtle transformation. Remember that lunar eclipses bring emotional culmination first and practical results later. If this period feels confusing, evaluate how your life looks by the next eclipse season. Many positive developments often trace back to insights gained during this time. Overall, this lunar eclipse in your first house is transformative, in a constructive way. It refines your personality, strengthens inner confidence, improves relationship dynamics, and aligns you with a clearer life direction. With Purva Falguni enhancing charisma and the Sun activating partnership awareness, you are stepping into a more mature and balanced leadership phase. By mid to late 2026, you are likely to see greater self-assurance, improved public image, and stronger personal authority emerging from this powerful reset. For Virgo, the total lunar eclipse falls in Leo in your 12th house. This is a deeply internal eclipse. The 12th house governs isolation, foreign lands, subconscious patterns, expenses, sleep, hospitals, spiritual retreat, and karmic closure. When a lunar eclipse activates this house, it works quietly but powerfully. It does not always produce loud external events. Instead, it shifts your inner landscape first, and those inner changes gradually reshape your outer life over the following 6 months. This eclipse occurs with Moon conjunct Ketu in Leo. The Moon represents your emotional mind, and Ketu represents detachment, release, and karmic clearing. In the 12th house, this combination can create a temporary sense of emotional withdrawal. You may feel less inclined to socialize. You may need more rest or silence than usual. Since Mercury, your ruling planet, is retrograde during this time, your mental processing may feel slower or more reflective. Overthinking is possible, but so is deep insight. This is not a period for major decisions. It is a period for observation and recalibration. Virgo individuals are naturally analytical and solution-oriented. You prefer to fix problems immediately. This eclipse teaches patience. Some matters cannot be solved through logic alone. The 12th house asks you to release control and trust gradual unfolding. Emotional clarity may not arrive instantly, but once it does, it will be profound and lasting. As solar eclipse happened in Aquarius, your 6th house is equally involved. The 6th house governs daily work routines, health, service, responsibilities, competition, and conflict resolution. The 12th and 6th houses together represent the balance between effort and rest, service and withdrawal. If you have been overworking or ignoring your health due to obligations, this eclipse highlights the need to adjust. You may feel temporary fatigue around the eclipse date. This is not weakness. It is your system signaling that a healthier structure is needed. From a professional perspective, this eclipse may mark the completion of behind-the-scenes work. You may finalize a long-term project that required quiet effort. Some Virgo individuals may consider working in foreign environments, multinational companies, or remote settings. The 12th house is strongly linked to foreign connections. Over the next 6 months, opportunities involving international collaboration or travel may open gradually. Financially, the 12th house governs expenses. There may be increased spending around this time, possibly related to health, travel, education, or family matters. These are often necessary or productive expenses rather than losses. The key lesson is mindful management. Since Mercury is retrograde, reviewing budgets and reassessing financial strategies is wiser than starting new investments. Adjustments made now can prevent unnecessary pressure later in the year. Purva Falguni Nakshatra adds a significant influence. This nakshatra is associated with creativity, relationships, agreements, comfort, and refinement. When placed in your 12th house, it suggests that emotional release may be linked to relationship patterns or past attachments. You may quietly detach from a connection that has drained your energy. Alternatively, you may forgive someone internally without needing confrontation. This is not about dramatic endings. It is about emotional closure. The 12th house also governs sleep and subconscious activity. Dreams may become more vivid during this period. Old memories may surface unexpectedly. Instead of dismissing them, observe them. They may reveal hidden stress or unresolved emotions. Maintaining a reflective routine can be helpful. Health deserves careful attention during this eclipse cycle. The 12th house connects to hospitalization and chronic conditions. This does not indicate illness, but it does emphasize preventive care. Small health adjustments now can prevent larger issues later. Prioritize rest, hydration, and stable daily rhythms. Virgo individuals benefits greatly from disciplined routines. And this eclipse encourages refining those routines. Emotionally, Moon, Ketu in the 12th house can make you feel temporarily isolated, even when surrounded by people. You may question certain friendships or social circles. Instead of reacting impulsively, allow space. After the eclipse energy settles, you will better understand which connections support you and which quietly drain your energy. Spiritually, this is a powerful period for growth. The 12th house is the house of meditation, retreat, and surrender. Even if you are not inclined towards spiritual practice, you may feel a natural pull toward introspection. Time spent alone constructively can bring remarkable clarity. Once Mercury turns direct, insights gained during this reflective phase can guide important decisions. Professionally, this eclipse may signal that a cycle of service or employment is nearing completion. Some Virgo individuals may prepare for a job change later in 2026. The eclipse itself may not bring immediate change, but it plants seeds. By the next eclipse season, you may see visible outcomes of internal shifts made now. It is important to remember that eclipse seasons can feel confusing. Moon, Ketu specifically can blur emotional clarity for a short period. Avoid major life decisions during the peak eclipse days. Wait until emotional steadiness returns. Within weeks, mental sharpness improves significantly. Over the next 6 months, the benefits of this eclipse become clearer. Stress levels may reduce. Work routines may become more balanced. Health awareness may increase. You may feel lighter because emotional burdens have been released quietly. Overall, this 12th house lunar eclipse is not about loss. It is about preparation. It clears emotional clutter, strengthens intuition, improves health discipline, and sets the stage for a stronger personal cycle ahead. By mid to late 2026, you are likely to recognize how this period of introspection strengthened your clarity, resilience, and focus. For Libra, the total lunar eclipse falls in Leo in your 11th house. The 11th house governs income, gains, professional networks, social circles, large organizations, ambitions, long-term goals, and fulfillment of desires. It is one of the strongest houses for material growth and expansion. When a lunar eclipse activates this house, it brings culmination and clarity around your goals, earnings, and associations. It is not necessarily a loss of gains. It is a refinement of how and where those gains are coming from. This eclipse occurs with Moon conjunct Ketu in Leo. Moon represents emotions and public response, while Ketu brings detachment and karmic release. In the 11th house, this combination can create temporary emotional distance from friends or social groups. You may feel less connected to certain circles or less interested in social validation. For Libra, who naturally values relationships and harmony, this feeling can seem unusual. This detachment is selective and purposeful. It helps you recognize which networks truly support your growth and which simply consume your time. As solar eclipse happened in Aquarius, your 5th house is equally involved. The 5th house governs creativity, children, romance, personal talents, and speculative ventures. The 5th and 11th houses together form a powerful axis of creativity and rewards. What you create in the 5th house produces gains in the 11th house. This eclipse may show you clearly which talents or projects are worth continuing. If you have been involved in multiple ventures, you may narrow your focus to those with long-term potential. Libra Lord Venus is in its exaltation sign Pisces during this eclipse and placed in your 6th house along with Saturn. This is an important protective factor. Venus is in its exaltation sign strengthens your judgment and grace, even if the eclipse creates temporary emotional confusion. Saturn's presence adds discipline and realism. Together, they indicate that your work routines, health habits, and daily responsibilities are becoming more structured. Even if you feel uncertain about social matters, your professional foundation remains steady. Over the next 6 months, disciplined effort can translate into measurable gains. Financially, the 11th house is strongly connected to income from career and business. This eclipse may bring closure to one source of income while opening space for a better one. Some Libra individuals may finalize a contract, receive delayed payments, or conclude negotiations related to salary. Others may leave a network or group that no longer produces growth. The positive outcome is smarter alignment between your ambitions and your earning patterns. Purva Falguni Nakshatra adds a significant layer. This nakshatra carries themes of creativity, social charm, agreements, celebration, and recognition. When the eclipse falls here in your 11th house, it suggests that gains linked to creative or public-facing work may undergo adjustment. You may refine your branding, shift audience focus, or renegotiate partnerships. Because Purva Falguni is ruled by Venus, and Venus is in its exaltation sign at this time, the long-term outcome is favorable. Creative projects can gain new momentum once emotional clarity returns. Emotionally, Moon, Ketu may make you feel temporarily isolated even within a group. You may question whether certain friendships are genuine. It is important not to react impulsively. Avoid cutting ties suddenly during the peak eclipse days. Instead, observe quietly. Within weeks, you will naturally gravitate toward connections that align with your goals. Quality replaces quantity. The 11th house also governs long-term ambitions. This eclipse may bring a shift in your aspirations. Goals you set years ago may no longer excite you. Rather than viewing this as instability, see it as evolution. Libra individuals often prioritize balance and harmony. You may now desire goals that support both financial growth and personal peace. This recalibration leads to sustainable success. Romantic matters may indirectly connect to this eclipse because of the 5th house involvement. A creative or romantic connection may influence professional networks. You may meet important contacts through social events. Alternatively, you may separate personal and professional circles more clearly. The outcome is healthier boundaries. Health-wise, because Venus and Saturn are in your 6th house, routine discipline becomes essential. The eclipse may briefly disrupt sleep or emotional balance, but maintaining steady habits keeps you grounded. Over the next 6 months, consistent work effort can significantly improve career stability. Professionally, this eclipse can mark a turning point in public recognition. If you have been working hard without visible reward, patience is required. Lunar eclipses show immediate emotional shifts, but tangible results unfold gradually. By the next eclipse season, you may see clear evidence of growth initiated now. Spiritually, the 11th house also represents collective consciousness and community contribution. You may feel called to align with causes that resonate more deeply. Instead of seeking popularity, you seek purpose. This subtle change enhances your reputation. It is important to remember that Moon, K2 eclipses can cloud emotional clarity for a short period. Avoid making major commitments or drastic career changes. Allow a few weeks for perspective to settle. Once clarity returns, decisions become more strategic and effective. Overall, this lunar eclipse in your 11th house is constructive for Libra individuals. It refines social circles, strengthens professional direction, improves financial alignment, and clarifies long-term ambitions. With Venus is in its exaltation sign and supported by Saturn, your practical decisions are backed by discipline and grace. By mid to late 2026, you are likely to recognize how this period helped you build stronger networks, smarter income strategies, and more meaningful goals. For Scorpio, the total lunar eclipse falls in Leo in your 10th house. The 10th house governs career, profession, authority, reputation, leadership, public image, and long-term achievements. When a lunar eclipse activates this house, it brings culmination and visibility in professional matters. This is not a subtle transit. It highlights your public role and the direction your career is taking. Because this is a total lunar eclipse, the emotional impact may feel strong in the moment, but the real results unfold over the next 6 months. This eclipse occurs with Moon conjunct K2 in Leo. Moon represents the public mood and your emotional response, while K2 brings detachment and karmic release. In the 10th house, Moon, K2 can create temporary emotional uncertainty about career direction. You may question your current path, responsibilities, or leadership position. It is important not to make drastic professional decisions during the eclipse window. Emotions may be intense and clarity may fluctuate. Give yourself time to observe rather than react. Within weeks, the insight gained now becomes a foundation for more confident decisions. The 10th house for Scorpio individuals is ruled by the Sun, and the eclipse occurs in the Sun's sign, Leo. This strengthens the visibility of career matters. If you have been working hard without recognition, this eclipse can bring acknowledgement or closure to a long effort. Some Scorpio individuals may complete a major project, change roles within an organization, or step into a more responsible position. Others may realize that a particular professional direction has reached its natural end. In both cases, the eclipse refines your path rather than destabilizing it. As solar eclipse happened in Aquarius, your 4th house is equally involved. The 4th house represents home, emotional security, property, and family foundations. The 4th and 10th houses form the axis of home and career. Changes in one area directly influence the other. You may find yourself balancing domestic responsibilities with professional growth. Some Scorpio individuals may consider relocation for career reasons, while others may restructure home life to support new ambitions. The key theme is integration. Professional growth should not come at the cost of emotional stability. Your ruling planet Mars is in Aquarius in the 4th house during this eclipse, conjunct Rahu, the Sun, and retrograde Mercury. This is a powerful configuration. Mars represents drive and initiative. In Aquarius, it pushes you toward unconventional decisions or innovative approaches. Rahu amplifies ambition and desire for progress. The Sun adds visibility, and retrograde Mercury encourages review and reassessment. Together, this suggests that you are in a period of strategic recalibration. You may feel intense motivation to change something in your life, but careful planning is essential. Review contracts, communications, and plans thoroughly before committing to new agreements. Purva Falguni Nakshatra influences this eclipse strongly. This nakshatra carries themes of leadership, creativity, agreements, and public recognition. It is associated with social grace and the desire to shine. When the eclipse falls here in your 10th house, it suggests refinement of your public image. You may adjust how you present yourself professionally. Some Scorpio individuals may rebrand, update resumes, shift business strategies, or adopt a more visible role. Because Purva Falguni is ruled by Venus, there is an element of diplomacy involved. Professional growth comes through cooperation rather than confrontation. Moon, K2 in the 10th house can create temporary emotional distance from authority figures or workplace structures. You may feel detached from office politics or less concerned with external validation. This detachment is beneficial. It helps you focus on meaningful achievement rather than superficial competition. Over the next 6 months, you may notice that this inner shift improves your leadership style. You act from confidence rather than reaction. Financially, the 10th house connects to career-based income. While the eclipse does not directly represent loss, it may mark the end of a particular earning pattern. For example, you may leave a project that was no longer profitable or restructure a business model. These changes are strategic. By mid to late 2026, the results can show stronger financial stability. Professionally, this is a time to demonstrate maturity. If challenges arise around the eclipse, handle them calmly. Scorpio individuals are known for resilience and strategic thinking. Use those strengths now. Avoid public conflicts or impulsive statements during the eclipse period. After the emotional intensity passes, you can move forward with clearer strategy. On a psychological level, the 10th house eclipse asks you to evaluate what success truly means. Scorpio energy seeks depth and transformation. You may realize that your career goals need to align more closely with personal values. This realization leads to more sustainable ambition. Instead of chasing status, you focus on impact. Health should not be ignored. Stress from professional pressure may increase temporarily. Balance is essential. Physical exercise, structured routines, and clear boundaries between work and home life will stabilize energy. Remember that lunar eclipses bring quick emotional shifts but long-term constructive results. If this period feels intense, observe rather than panic. By the next eclipse season, you are likely to see how this moment strengthened your professional standing. Overall, this eclipse in your 10th house is transformative but positive. It refines your leadership, strengthens your public image, and aligns career direction with deeper purpose. With Mars energizing your domestic sector and encouraging innovation, you are positioned to make strategic adjustments that support long-term success. By mid to late 2026, you may look back at this eclipse as the point where your professional identity matured significantly. For Sagittarius, the total lunar eclipse falls in Leo in your 9th house. The 9th house governs higher education, long-distance travel, belief systems, teachers, mentors, father figures, publishing, law, ethics, and fortune. It is one of the most auspicious houses in the chart, representing expansion of wisdom and life direction. When a lunar eclipse activates this house, it brings culmination and clarity around your philosophy of life and long-term path. This eclipse occurs with Moon conjunct Ketu in Leo. Moon represents emotional perception, and Ketu brings detachment and karmic release. In the 9th house, this combination can create a temporary sense of doubt about beliefs or guidance you have followed in the past. You may question teachings, mentors, or even your own assumptions. This is not a crisis of faith. It is refinement. Old beliefs that no longer align with your current experience may fade, making space for more mature understanding. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and during this eclipse Jupiter is retrograde in Gemini in your 7th house. Jupiter turns direct on March 11th, shortly after the eclipse. This timing is important. The retrograde motion indicates internal reassessment, particularly in relationships and agreements. As Jupiter prepares to turn direct, clarity begins to return. You may feel uncertain around the eclipse, but within days momentum shifts forward. Decisions that seemed unclear become easier. The 9th house eclipse also activates Aquarius in your 3rd house, as solar eclipse happened in Aquarius. The 3rd house governs communication, skills, writing, marketing, siblings, and self-effort. The 3rd and 9th houses together represent practical knowledge versus higher wisdom. This eclipse may bring balance between theory and action. You may realize that certain philosophies must be applied practically rather than discussed endlessly. For Sagittarius, who naturally seeks meaning, this is a productive shift. Moon, Ketu in the 9th house may temporarily create emotional isolation from teachers or authority figures. You may feel less inspired by certain influences. Instead of reacting impulsively, observe carefully. It is not the right time for drastic changes in education or travel plans during the immediate eclipse window. Over the next 6 months, you may pursue new courses, certifications, or international opportunities that better align with your evolved perspective. Purva Falguni Nakshatra strongly influences this eclipse. This nakshatra carries themes of creativity, agreements, social recognition, and leadership. In the 9th house, it encourages you to express your philosophy publicly. You may feel motivated to write, teach, publish, or share ideas with a broader audience. Because Purva Falguni is ruled by Venus, there is diplomacy and grace involved. Your message becomes more refined and appealing. If you have been planning to launch educational content, workshops, or international collaborations, this eclipse may serve as a turning point. Travel is another significant theme. The ninth house governs long-distance journeys. Some Sagittarius individuals may finalize travel plans or return from a significant trip around this time. Others may rethink international goals. Even if travel is delayed temporarily, it may resume with better structure once Jupiter turns direct. The positive outcome can be expected from strategic expansion rather than impulsive movement. Relationships may also play a role because Jupiter is retrograde in your 7th house during this eclipse. Partnerships may influence your belief systems. You may learn important lessons to a spouse or business partner. Discussions around values, ethics, or future plans can deepen mutual understanding. Once Jupiter turns direct, agreements reached during this reflective phase can move forward smoothly. Financially, the 9th house relates to fortune and blessings. While eclipses can create temporary uncertainty, they often bring hidden opportunities. You may discover support from mentors or international networks. Legal matters may reach resolution. Scholarships, publishing contracts, or teaching opportunities may surface within the next 6 months. On a psychological level, Moon, Ketu in the 9th house can make you feel briefly disconnected from optimism. Sagittarius energy thrives on hope and expansion. If you feel momentary doubt, remember that it is part of refinement. You are not losing faith. You are strengthening it by removing illusions. This eclipse also encourages humility. Leo energy seeks recognition, and in the 9th house it can create strong attachment to personal beliefs. Ketu's presence reduces ego-driven attachment. You may become more open to listening rather than asserting. This shift improves long-term relationships and professional credibility. Health-wise, the 9th house connects to hips and thighs. Physical activity, especially travel or exercise routines, should be maintained carefully. Emotional stress may briefly impact energy levels. Balanced routines and steady rest are helpful during eclipse week. Because eclipses show results over 6 months, pay attention to developments between March and September 2026. Educational goals, publishing efforts, or international ventures initiated after clarity returns can succeed significantly. By the next eclipse season, you may clearly see how this period strengthened your direction. It is important to avoid major life decisions during eclipse season, especially those related to travel, relocation, or legal agreements. Allow emotional intensity to settle. Once Jupiter turns direct, clarity increases naturally. Overall, this eclipse in your 9th house is constructive for Sagittarius individuals. It refines belief systems, strengthens intellectual growth, improves communication between practical action and higher vision, and opens doors for future expansion. With Jupiter turning direct shortly after, forward movement is supported. By mid to late 2026, you are likely to recognize this eclipse as a turning point that aligned your path with deeper wisdom and more sustainable success. For Capricorn, the total lunar eclipse occurs in Leo in your 8th house. The 8th house is associated with transformation, shared resources, joint finances, inheritance, taxes, loans, insurance, intimacy, vulnerability, and deep psychological processes. It is not a light or casual house. It represents areas of life that require maturity, trust, and long-term restructuring. When a lunar eclipse happens here, it brings emotional awareness and culmination in these deeper matters. While the intensity may feel strong in the moment, the long-term outcome is empowerment and stabilization. This eclipse happens with Moon conjunct Ketu. Moon governs the mind, emotions, and instinctive reactions. Ketu brings detachment, karmic release, and the ending of patterns that have completed their purpose. In the 8th house, this combination can initially create emotional heaviness or temporary confusion regarding financial or relationship matters. You may question trust, control, or shared responsibilities. This questioning is not meant to destabilize you. It is meant to reveal where adjustments are needed. It is not advisable to make major financial commitments or drastic relationship decisions during the eclipse window. Give emotions time to settle. Within a short period, clarity becomes much stronger. For Capricorn individuals, Leo rules the 8th house, and the Sun becomes the house lord of transformation and shared assets. Because the eclipse occurs in the Sun's sign, matters related to authority in financial agreements or control in partnerships may come forward. You may feel the need to take a more active role in managing shared finances. This could involve reviewing joint accounts, revising investment strategies, organizing tax records, or discussing financial boundaries in marriage or business. The positive outcome is transparency and structure. Eclipses always activate two houses simultaneously. Aquarius, which falls in your second house, is equally triggered. The second house governs personal income, savings, accumulated wealth, speech, and family values. The second and eighth houses form the financial axis of personal versus shared resources. This eclipse encourages you to balance independence with cooperation. You may realize that relying too heavily on shared resources creates vulnerability, or that holding too tightly to personal control limits growth. The adjustment now leads to stronger long-term stability. Your ruling planet Saturn is placed in Pisces in your third house during this eclipse, along with exalted Venus. Saturn gives you patience, discipline, and practical thinking. Venus brings diplomacy and the ability to negotiate smoothly. This is a very helpful combination. Even if intense emotions surface, Saturn helps you remain steady. Communication becomes measured rather than reactive. You are capable of addressing sensitive financial or emotional topics calmly. Over the next 6 months, this steady approach strengthens your position. Purva Falguni Nakshatra influences this eclipse significantly. This nakshatra relates to agreements, refinement, creativity, and social contracts. In the 8th house, it suggests restructuring agreements rather than ending them. You may renegotiate loan terms, adjust partnership contracts, or revise insurance policies. Because Purva Falguni carries Venusian energy and Venus is in its exaltation sign at this time, the emphasis is on harmony and balance rather than conflict. You are guided towards solutions that benefit all parties involved. On a psychological level, the 8th house eclipse invites you to examine hidden fears. Capricorn individuals often carry heavy responsibilities and prefer control over uncertainty. This eclipse may highlight areas where control has been maintained out of fear rather than necessity. Letting go of that fear increases strength. Emotional maturity deepens. You may feel lighter after confronting what was previously avoided. Intimacy and trust are also themes. If you are in a committed relationship, serious discussions about shared goals, savings, property, or long-term plans may arise. While the tone may initially feel intense, these conversations can strengthen mutual understanding. If you are single, you may reassess what you expect from deep emotional partnerships. The eclipse helps you move toward more secure and balanced connections. Financially, the 8th house often brings restructuring rather than loss. Some Capricorn individuals may pay off debt, consolidate loans, or reorganize investments. Others may receive delayed payments or insurance settlements. The key theme is financial maturity. Decisions made carefully during this period can produce noticeable stability by mid to late 2026. Professionally, the 8th house supports research, analysis, auditing, finance, psychology, and investigative work. If your career involves detailed examination or strategic planning, this eclipse can bring breakthroughs. You may uncover hidden information that improves outcomes. Projects that require patience and confidentiality benefit greatly from this transit. Health should also be monitored carefully. The 8th house connects to chronic issues and long-term healing. This is an excellent time to address preventive care, undergo routine health checks, or commit to consistent lifestyle improvements. Small changes now can prevent complications later. Moon, Ketu may create a brief period of emotional isolation. You may prefer privacy and reflection. This is healthy and temporary. Avoid unnecessary confrontations during eclipse week. Once the emotional intensity passes, you will feel more grounded. Remember that eclipse effects unfold over 6 months. What feels intense in early March can show positive results by the next eclipse season. Financial clarity, emotional stability, and improved partnership structures may become clearly visible. Overall, this lunar eclipse in your 8th house is a constructive turning point. It strengthens financial organization, deepens emotional maturity, improves communication in sensitive matters, and enhances long-term security. With Saturn guiding you steadily and Venus softening negotiations, you are positioned to transform complexity into strength. By mid to late 2026, you may look back at this eclipse as the moment when hidden weaknesses were resolved and your foundation became far more stable. For Aquarius, the total lunar eclipse occurs in Leo in your 7th house. The 7th house governs marriage, committed partnerships, business collaborations, contracts, public image to relationships, and how you engage in one-to-one dynamics. When a lunar eclipse activates this house, relationship matters rise to the surface in a noticeable way. This is not automatically about separation or conflict. It is about awareness, adjustment, and strengthening balance between independence and partnership. This eclipse takes place with Moon conjunct Ketu in Leo. The Moon represents emotions, instincts, and emotional bonding. Ketu represents detachment, karmic release, and completion of old patterns. When these two combine in your 7th house, you may temporarily feel emotionally distant from a partner or unsure about the direction of a relationship. It may seem like the emotional tone is unclear or slightly disconnected. This is not permanent. It is a short phase of reflection. It is important not to make major decisions about marriage or contracts during the peak eclipse days, because emotional clarity may be reduced. Give space for calm observation. At the same time, your 1st house in Aquarius is heavily activated by Rahu, Mars, the Sun, and retrograde Mercury. This means your focus is strongly on yourself. You may feel energized, ambitious, and eager to assert independence. Rahu increases desire for progress and recognition. Mars adds boldness and sometimes impatience. The Sun highlights leadership and personal identity. Retrograde Mercury encourages review and correction of plans. With so much activity in your 1st house, you are redefining who you are and where you are going. The eclipse in your 7th house ensures that this personal growth remains balanced with partnership responsibilities. The 1st and 7th houses form the axis of self and others. This eclipse brings the question of balance. Have you been sacrificing too much of yourself in relationships, or have you been prioritizing your goals without enough consideration for your partner? The eclipse does not punish. It corrects imbalance. Once you recognize where adjustment is needed, you can move forward with greater harmony. Your ruling planet Saturn is placed in Pisces in your 2nd house along with Venus. This is a stabilizing factor. The 2nd house governs speech, finances, family values, and accumulated wealth. Saturn provides maturity, patience, and responsibility in communication. Venus adds grace and diplomacy. Even if relationship discussions feel serious, you have the capacity to speak calmly and thoughtfully. Over the next 6 months, careful communication can significantly improve relationship stability and financial cooperation. Purva Phalguni Nakshatra plays an important role in shaping this eclipse. This nakshatra is associated with agreements, contracts, leadership, social charm, and refinement. In the 7th house, it emphasizes formal partnerships and public commitments. Some Aquarius individuals may formalize relationships, renew agreements, or restructure contracts. Others may choose to clarify expectations in marriage or business. Because Purva Phalguni carries Venusian qualities and Venus is currently active with Saturn in your 2nd house, outcomes lean toward balance rather than conflict. In marriage or long-term relationships, this eclipse may highlight areas where communication needs improvement. If certain expectations were unspoken, they may now surface. Temporary emotional isolation can help both partners reflect. Once clarity returns, conversations become more constructive. This period can strengthen bonds by encouraging honesty and maturity. For business partnerships, the 7th house governs collaborations and client relationships. You may review contracts, renegotiate terms, or adjust business strategies. Some partnerships may conclude if they no longer align with your goals, but this creates space for more productive alliances. Over the next 6 months, stronger professional collaborations can develop as a result of these refinements. Financially, the 7th house connects to joint ventures and profit-sharing arrangements. Saturn in your 2nd house supports disciplined budgeting and financial planning. If financial matters arise within marriage or business, address them logically rather than emotionally. Agreements made after the eclipse period can bring stability and clarity. Emotionally, Moon, Ketu may make you feel temporarily withdrawn from close partners. You may question certain dynamics. Instead of reacting impulsively, observe calmly. This eclipse is about awareness, not destruction. Many realizations that surface now lead to healthier boundaries and improved cooperation. Health should not be ignored. Relationship stress can briefly affect sleep or digestion. Maintaining structured daily routines will help stabilize your energy. Mars in your 1st house gives physical strength, but avoid overexertion during eclipse week. Spiritually, this eclipse teaches integration. Aquarius energy values individuality and innovation. The 7th house teaches compromise and shared responsibility. Growth now comes from learning how to pursue your goals without disconnecting from important relationships. Leadership within partnerships requires empathy alongside ambition. Remember that lunar eclipses bring immediate emotional shifts but unfold practical results over 6 months. If this period feels intense, observe how circumstances evolve through mid to late 2026. By the next eclipse cycle, you may clearly see how adjustments made now strengthen both personal identity and relational harmony. Overall, this lunar eclipse in your 7th house is a constructive turning point. It refines partnerships, strengthens communication, clarifies agreements, and aligns your evolving identity with meaningful collaboration. With Saturn grounding your speech and Venus supporting fairness, you are well equipped to transform temporary emotional uncertainty into lasting balance. By mid-2026, relationships are likely to feel more mature, agreements more defined, and your sense of self more confident without sacrificing cooperation. For Pisces, the total lunar eclipse falls in Leo in your 6th house. The 6th house governs daily work, routines, health, service, coworkers, competition, debts, and problem solving. This is a practical house. When a lunar eclipse occurs here, it brings awareness and correction in everyday systems. It does not usually create dramatic external events. Instead, it highlights what is inefficient, stressful, or unbalanced in your work life and health patterns so you can improve them over the next 6 months. This eclipse happens with Moon conjunct Ketu. The Moon represents emotions and mental clarity, while Ketu represents detachment and release. In the 6th house, this combination can create temporary mental fatigue or emotional distance from work responsibilities. You may feel less motivated or slightly overwhelmed during eclipse week. It is important not to make major career or health decisions on the eclipse days because perception may not be fully clear. Give yourself a few days to settle before making commitments. Solar eclipse happened in Aquarius. While the Moon and Ketu are in your 6th house in Leo, Aquarius in your 12th house is also triggered. The 6th house represents work and effort, while the 12th house represents rest, retreat, sleep, and recovery. This axis highlights imbalance between productivity and rest. If you have been overworking, neglecting sleep, or carrying too many responsibilities, this eclipse forces adjustment. Fatigue around this time is a signal, not a weakness. The long-term benefit is better structure and healthier boundaries. Your ruling planet Jupiter is retrograde in Gemini in your 4th house and will turn direct on March 11th, just days after the eclipse. Jupiter retrograde encourages internal reflection about home, emotional security, and stability. As Jupiter turns direct, forward movement resumes. If there have been uncertainties about home life or family responsibilities affecting your work, solutions begin to emerge after mid-March. This supports smoother progress in daily life. Saturn is in Pisces in your 1st house along with Venus. This is an important stabilizing factor. Saturn in your 1st house increases discipline, maturity, and responsibility. Venus adds balance and diplomacy. Even if eclipse energy feels heavy, Saturn keeps you grounded. You are in a phase of personal growth that requires structure. This eclipse fits into that process by refining your routines and improving how you manage responsibilities. The eclipse occurs in Purva Phalguni Nakshatra, which is ruled by Venus and associated with agreements, refinement, and social balance. In the 6th house, this suggests improvement in workplace relationships and practical negotiations. You may renegotiate duties, adjust schedules, or clarify expectations with coworkers or supervisors. Instead of conflict, there is room for cooperation. Because Venus is in its exaltation sign, agreements reached after emotional clarity returns are likely to be fair and constructive. Professionally, this eclipse may bring completion of a project or change in daily responsibilities. Some Pisces individuals may shift departments, adjust workloads, or take on new assignments that better suit their abilities. Others may realize that certain tasks no longer align with long-term goals. Rather than quitting impulsively, review options carefully. Over the next 6 months, small adjustments can significantly improve job satisfaction. The 6th house also governs competition and workplace tension. Moon, Ketu can dissolve unnecessary conflicts. You may feel less reactive toward criticism or workplace drama. Choosing not to engage in minor disputes can improve your professional reputation. Saturn in your 1st house strengthens your ability to remain calm under pressure. Health is a central theme. The 6th house rules digestion, daily habits, and preventive care. This eclipse increases awareness of lifestyle patterns. You may notice how stress affects your body. This is an excellent time to correct eating habits, improve sleep schedules, or establish consistent exercise routines. Small changes made now can produce measurable improvements by mid to late 2026. Financially, the sixth house relates to debts and obligations. Some Pisces individuals may reorganize repayments, clear minor debts, or create stricter budgeting systems. While expenses may arise temporarily, they often lead to better financial control. Practical planning is more effective than emotional spending during this period. Emotionally, Moon, K2 may create brief isolation. You may prefer solitude and quiet work rather than social engagement. This is temporary and constructive. Use the time to organize thoughts and tasks. Avoid signing major contracts or confronting supervisors during eclipse week. Once emotional intensity passes, decisions become clearer. Spiritually, the sixth house is the house of service. You may redefine what meaningful work means to you. Instead of working purely out of obligation, you may seek roles that provide value and purpose. This shift strengthens long-term career satisfaction. Remember that lunar eclipses show immediate emotional shifts but unfold practical results over 6 months. What feels confusing in early March can translate into improved efficiency, stronger health discipline, and better work structure by late 2026. When the next eclipse season arrives, you may clearly see how adjustments may now improve stability. Overall, this sixth house lunar eclipse is constructive for Pisces individuals. It refines routines, improves health awareness, strengthens workplace boundaries, and encourages practical restructuring. With Saturn grounding your identity and Jupiter turning direct shortly after, forward progress is supported. By mid-year, you are likely to feel more organized, healthier, and more confident in your daily systems. As we conclude this episode, please keep in mind that these insights are based on the sidereal zodiac system used in Vedic astrology, which differs from the tropical system by approximately 24 degrees. These are general predictions. The real impact depends on your dasha cycles and your individual birth chart. For a personalized analysis or consultation, feel free to reach out. If you found this video valuable, please like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And now, you can also hype this video to boost it within the community. Your support helps this knowledge reach more people who may benefit. Thank you for watching. Stay aware, keep learning, and keep shining bright.